Good now, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Runeversity, aka Runology 101. My name is Yamis, aka the Yamis Hamis, and I'll be your certified schizo professor today as we try to figure out the latest raids for rewards. I have quite a few theories, and I'm sure other people have come up with some great things. Before we get into any of it, let me just explain how I came to the conclusion for these items. It's basically a combination of looking into OSRS to see which areas of combat are severely lacking compared to the other styles. No, it is not a number crunching segment. It's more so comparing the items in the game and seeing where they are available as drops and filling in the gaps / connecting the dots. Trigger warning, I also reviewed RuneScape 3 for some inspiration as to what could possibly be coming into the game, because remember, that game used to be this game at one point, and it's basically the testing ground for a lot of stuff that can come into OSRS. And then finally, the last part was reviewing the small 2-minute trailer that Jagex has revealed to us during the Winter Summit. Now that I've had some time to let the thoughts marinate, I think it's a good idea to start trying to figure out what could possibly be coming to the game. Before I just start to spout out items, I'd like to go over basically what I saw inside the Raids 4 trailer. Alright, so the things I saw in the video, they show a guy with a bow, they show the Gothic staff, and then they show a god sword, and honestly I couldn't really tell if it was like the AGS or the BGS. It was like kind of more blue, so I thought it was the AGS. And then the White Knights of Falador have the Saradomin sword, and then the Adventurer, which is us, is greeted by a person with the Gothic staff, and we have on the Torva body and legs. We're wearing the Slayer helm, not quite sure why, but we are also wearing a Blood Fury, an Inferno cape, the gloves. They look like the Ferocious gloves, or not really sure. And then we have Primordial boots. This is really strange to me because what about the new Best in Slot boot? Right? Was this just like an aesthetic trailer? But okay. But then also the Soul Reaper axe is the weapon of choice. Then it shows us basically walking through Lumbee, then into the underground. So it's us with the Soul Reaper axe, one person has a Sarah sword, one person with the Gothic staff, and presumably the AGS. White Knight has the white two-hander, the random bowman, and then it's like the Kakmeeks holding a banner. I think that's his name. The Gothic's person with the Gothic's banner. That's our raid group. Then we see all the things that have failed. So the Bandos symbol on a dead body, of a bunch of Zamorak stuff around their dead bodies. Then there's a fire. Right? The fire is in the shape of the Saradomin's light, and in it, a tormented demon is like cut in half, maybe even almost decapitated. Then the Dark Souls looking Gothic's boss thingy wakes up, makes like a jaguar yelling sound. And the ground is kind of cluttered. And honestly, I don't know if it's going to be a moving boss like Verzik, or if it's going to maintain its position like the last phase of Warden, or if it's a combination like Olm and Cox. You know, like Olm stays in place until you phase it, so like it moves, but it doesn't move. But it kind of looks like the thing is out of reach for melee stuff, or like at the very least, the head is so far removed, and you're going to only hit the 3 legs, but it could be that you have to do that anyway until you lower the head. It's all speculation for now. Even though it was only 2 minutes and basically just a compilation of mini clips, there is a lot of stuff shown in it, but also a lot of nothing. And Jagex have trolled before, and we shouldn't be shocked if they troll us again. But okay, let's get into the rewards. Let's start off with the main glowing thing from the thumbnail, so you can just get a glimpse of how the schizo theory works. Right? An occult necklace upgrade is basically inevitable at this point. Right? The Amulet of Torture has the ability to be upgraded to the Rancor Amulet with the addition of the Araxor boss. In the Winter Summit, Jagex announced a new best-in-slot range necklace called the Necklace of Pursuit. You'll have to kill the Maggot King boss, then combine your Anguish to make the Necklace of Pursuit. That basically just leaves magic. But not only is the Occult Necklace the only one left out of the mix of upgrades, it literally caught a nerf, right? It used to do the 10% magic damage, now it does 5%. So honestly, I could see it going right back to where it used to be, with the upgraded version, getting to 10%. But here, the thing that's a tragedy, and I know that people are going to get pissed off, but I don't think it's going to be one of the Raids 4 rewards. It's possibly going to be one, but I think it's highly unlikely because the other upgrades come from the high-end solo / slayer monsters. So to make the mage best-in-slot necklace come from a raid is kind of unfair, but okay. There's a few things that I think have a lot of potential to be rewards for the game. Let's start off with the true Mega Rare. Not this Eldramal Kodai Mega Rare BS. I mean a true Mega Rare, something that's going to absolutely slap. The Mega Rare that I think fits into the game the most would 100% be a spear. The spear will be able to do all attack styles because Guthix is the god of balance. So the balance styles just makes the most sense, but it wouldn't act as a normal spear. The benefit this would have is that it would have an attack range of 2. So it would work like a halberd, but it's a spear. The added distance will allow us to use this item basically against anything that the scythe can't reach. And this could be the first true mega rare that has a special attack, right? Because if you're going to say the Eldrimall or whatever that has a special attack, but I mean a true usable mega rare with a special attack. So a lot of the inspiration of this item is based on RS3. The item in RS3 is called Tumeken's Light. It basically works exactly as I just explained, but don't worry, I still think the scythe will be great at things that are huge, right? With the multiple tiles taking up the NPC. All right. But to me, this makes the most sense as a typical two-handed, 5-tick, true mega rare, right? One of the items that you would do one of those account rebuilds with. And then lastly, a big reason I think this has a lot of potential to be the big ticket item is because the floating Guthix head thingy they showed, so like the Shadow and T-Bow could be really good against it, but once you have the spear, it will be the true best in slot against it because the scythe won't be able to reach it, or like reach the head. Maybe. But okay, while we're on the topic of melee, our next item, let's just get right into it. What effect was recently added into the game and what items were changed because of it? Flat armor. If something has 5 flat armor, it means your hit is reduced by 5, but if it has -5 flat armor, that means your hit is increased by 5. So the introduction of flat armor changed the game as we know it. At one point, they made it so that the Torag's hammer would have 2 hit splats, and everyone was like, why? And then we come to find out that splitting it into 2 hits was a huge buff for Torag's hammers. Unfortunately, they suck. And then the best in slot dual-wielding weapons are the dual Macarenas. Compare them to the Scythe, or the Ink Mace, or the Fang. They're basically glorified dead content. They're absolutely mid in comparison, so I think a huge potential for a reward from the new raid would be a dual-wielded weapon that would be endgame. Outside of like grinding Sulfur Nagua, I don't know what you even use the current things for. But imagine a true endgame best in slot dual-wielding weapon that would be at least decent when you don't fight stuff with negative flat armor, but then becomes overpowered against anything with negative flat armor. Like absolutely overpowered, not just against Sulfur Nagua. But all right, our next item, while we're on the topic of negative flat armor, or just flat armor in general, since getting extra hits in is incredibly important with the negative flat armor effect, I think there is a lot of potential for us to see dual-wielding crossbows. That's right. It's funny because there's always memes going around being like, add the Glocks to OSRS, we want guns. And then this is the closest thing to that. So it wasn't only flat armor that caused me to consider this. When we look at the range skill, the T-Bow just got mega buffed because the new best in slot arrows and new best in slot range necklace. Why did they need to buff the best bow in the game? Unless a new crossbow or something of sorts is coming that is going to be so good that it was gonna just completely outclass the T-Bow. So crossbows didn't really catch as big of a buff, and nobody really uses crossbows anyway. There's like the Zerite crossbow that people just cheese specs with, and that's about it. Dragon Hunter crossbow is hyper niche. Armadillo crossbow is like throwing feathers compared to the T-Bow. But also consider this. We got the Aqua Knight Hopper, allowing a second hit to be shot. So potentially, maybe one of the new crossbows is used, and you'll have the Hopper as the offhand until you get the second crossbow. So like all of that combined, the Aqua Knight Hopper, flat armor, T-Bow buff, I think these are good indicators that we could be either seeing dual-wielding crossbows or a new best-in-slot crossbow, something of a sorts. But all right, let's switch over to armor. There's so much speculation going on here. A lot of stuff I've seen has been about melee stab or crush, and then also an upgrade to the ancestral armor set. I think it's really hard to speak about anything magic related because the Shadow is in a very tricky spot right now. It's possible that the new Shadow changes could be made with the new magic armor in mind, but realistically, just keep it to the side. Then also, I think Torva is pretty decently good stab armor. The armor that I think makes the most sense based off of Raids 4, like the teaser we saw, and the armor sets in the game, is very much a crush armor set. I think there's good reason to believe we will get a crush armor set that will work essentially the same way the Missouri armor from TOA works. You can either get regular Missouri from TOA, but then you need to break down the Armadillion gear in order to upgrade the Missouri pieces. And basically, upgrading it adds prayer and defensive stats. And what is our current best in slot crush set missing? Defensive stats. So with all of that coming together, I think it will basically be the Missouri crush set, essentially, right? Like you go to raids 4, you can use the new crush stuff that will be slightly better than the current Inquisitor stuff, but then you can break down the ink stuff and get fortified crush armor. And realistically, I think this should overtake Torva armor as like the best overall stuff go-to gear. But yeah, and then our next item, this section will probably be the quickest. I think there's potential for a new ring to come to the game, but instead of it adding a new slot to the character equipment like panel, I think it'll be a combo ring of sorts, so that maybe you can use 2 best in slot rings instead of just camping the light bearer forever and always. But yeah, I think this is the most far-fetched, and honestly, I kind of don't want this. Yeah, okay. And last but not least, the thing that I think could absolutely come to the game is the Infinity Gauntlet. Thanos style. But it will have to have its Rooney take on it. So basically, we will be combining all of our best in slot gloves, the Ferocious gloves, the Zerite Van Braces, and the Confliction gauntlets. Perhaps it will be best in slot overall, like straight up, just the best. Maybe the Barrows gloves can still be like the tank gloves, tankiest, whatever. I don't know, but I believe that glove switching is dumb. So potentially, I think we're going to see this new best in slot glove. Yeah, so those are a few things I think could fill the gaps inside OSRS and hopefully maintain this power creep. Let me know if you think I'm dumb or crazy, or if you're resonating with the schizo theories. Huge shout out to Andy Games Old School for inspiring some of these schizo theories and helping me find the items within RS3. I'll be streaming on Twitch, Kick, and YouTube. So if you ever want to come up with some theories or get an opportunity to manipulate MarketScape, come hang out. Links will be in the description. Thank you all very much for watching. Have a good now. And happy scaping.